Welcome to a special episode dedicated to the Military Birth Resource Network and Postpartum Coalition nonprofit organization in the United States. Today's episode is for the Podcasthon 2025 and 2 reasons why I picked to support this organization. A disclaimer for number 1 is I used to be the Director of Education for them on a voluntary basis, but I've since stepped down. Number 2 is I still strongly believe in their vision and mission, and I want to support them. I want to encourage you to donate to them or to help them out in any way that they need so that they can continue to do the great work in supporting the American active duty service members and family members who are going through birth and postpartum while stationed in the US or stationed overseas or CONUS.
And a quick disclaimer before we start, I am your host, Dr. Kristal, the leading authority in postpartum wellness. However, all the information on my YouTube channel, podcasts, and all platforms are only for educational and informational purposes. For medical advice, please see your medical health provider, and for any emergencies, please call your local emergency line. So today's episode, we're going to be talking about the 12-week parental leave that the U.S. military service members are entitled to after the birth of a child or after they adopt a child. We'll be exploring what it is, what it isn't, where to get more information, and how to advocate for yourself.
I want to preface this by saying I am more familiar with the US Army ecosystem because that was the military branch that I was involved with as a military family member for the past few years. I had my first child in the United States, and the second child we were stationed at CONUS in Germany. So it was interesting to experience both systems under TRICARE Prime and within the military community as well. But at the same time, we did not get this 12-week parental leave. It came after. But it was nice to see that a lot of leaders, and especially in the unit we were with, that they really helped a lot of the active service members ensure that they get this 12-week parental leave when we were in Germany. So that was really, really lovely. So first off, what is this 12-week parental leave? Number 1, it is a busy, busy time for both the birthing parent, the mother, and the non-birthing parent, the father or the mother. And this time is needed for the birthing parent to recover from childbirth. And it's also a much needed time for the non-birthing parent, especially if the non-birthing parent is the active duty service member, to go and get all the paperwork done. Because as we know, paperwork within the military system is a pain. I'm not going to mince words here. You listening to this, you know what I'm saying is true. Unless, of course, you're really lucky and you came across, an office or the system within the office was really efficient. But I would have to segue into a story here that with our second child, what we had in Germany, it took us so many efforts and visits to the DEER's office to get her actually sitting in the system properly. There were many times we walked in and got her registered, made sure everything was there. We were reassured it was fine, only to then show up to the baby wellness checks at the clinic on base and find that she's not registered in the system. To me, it happened at least 3 times. I don't even know if it happened more than that because we just had to keep going back to the office. So use your 12 weeks really well to get the paperwork done, get the DEER's things done, get the birth certificates done. Especially if you're stationed overseas, you might have to liaise with the local city hall or town hall to get the local birth certificate and then get the American one. And then for those of you who are foreign-born military spouses or your family has got 2 or 3 more nationalities together, you got to start thinking about, well, should I also then apply for the citizenship and nationality of, the other person's origin? And you might want to use that time to get paperwork done. One caveat is if the active duty service member is also the birthing parent, the mother, then you kind of have to do the paperwork most of the time. But this is where your spouse, your ecosystem, the SFRG, family readiness groups, or with other branches, I think you have key spouse leaders, engage them to give you some help during this time where possible, even if it means going to these administrative appointments with you so that they can help with your baby or help you with anything you need while you get this done. It is unfortunate that it takes that much paperwork, but that's what this 12 weeks really is about. It's about giving space to the birthing parent and the mother to recover physically from childbirth, for time to settle into the role, especially if you're a first-time parent, to settle into the role as a new first-time mom and a new first-time dad. Also a chance for the family emotionally and mentally to adjust to this big change in the family dynamic. Even if you've had a lot of kids already or a couple of kids before this, or this is your second child, it is still a new family member and everyone's trying to find their place now with this new baby, even your pets. I have 2 dogs and they were very uncertain when we brought our first child home. And they definitely weren't thrilled when we brought home our second child. So I think they felt great. We're just going to get less attention now, even more so, because we didn't get as much attention the first time around when we had our first baby come home. So it's a huge time for adjustment. And especially with the military lifestyle, you know that once you go back to work, the non-active duty, the military spouse, is the one who's going to hold most things at home. That's just the nature of this lifestyle. That's the nature of this work. It's not anyone's fault. The guilt will come, though. I do have to warn you, it will come, and that's just natural and part of the process. But that is why this time is so important for everyone to be together, just to give time to adjust to things and to come up with a routine or a plan on what happens at TDYs, what happens at deployments, or what happens at shifts and long hours of work. It's a good time to adjust to those things. And it's also a good time to go and ask for help where needed. The Army Community Services, most of them have a new parent support program that is fantastic. I love the one in Wiesbaden. That's where we were stationed at. And I have had the luck of working and volunteering with the staff who work there. Amazing folks, amazing team, not just the new parent support, but the Army Community Services in Wiesbaden Garrison. So I want to highlight that there are resources. Just reach out, and also reach out to, of course, your family readiness groups, your key spouse leaders, and just other fellow spouses, and even your neighbors. My neighbors, when we were in Wiesbaden, were a tremendous help. I'm so grateful and thankful for them. So 12-week parental leave, that is what it is. And at the same time, I want to highlight that those of you who are not birthing children, but you're adopting, whether through an adoption program or surrogacy, you are entitled to this too, according to the memo. And with the memo, I'm going to put the link in the show notes and in the YouTube video description. So please go check them out for the most updated, because that could change anytime, as you know, with policies and regulations. But as far as I'm aware, when you adopt as well, you can take this 12-week parental leave. But you don't have to take this 12-week leave immediately once baby gets here. You can take it within 1 year of the birth of your child. But of course, a lot of folks tend to take this right in the beginning, because that's the crunch time. That's the biggest change time. But talk to each other, of course, communicate to your needs, because if you are able to engage a lot of help, then perhaps, the non-birthing parent could perhaps take this 12-week a bit later on. And also it depends on the rosters, it depends on your unit. But I want to highlight something very important here is you at times must advocate for your 12-week. It's not something that you can just be told you can't take this. It is your right. It is the policy. It is the regulation. And we know how much the military loves their regulations. So I really recommend that if your leaders of your unit aren't aware of this policy, then go to that website that I'm linking you with and download the paperwork and give it to them. Because once they have it in front of them, then they have a better idea on what to do with this leave and how to help you with it. Second part, what it isn't. The parental leave, whether through military or not, any parental leave, maternal leave or paternal leave is not a holiday. This is one of the most, I would say, harmful narrative and story that we perpetuate, and we keep telling that till today, is that, oh, you're going on maternal leave? Must be nice to relax. Oh, you're going on paternal leave? Oh, such a great time and, downtime. But no, it's not a holiday. Just because it's called leave, it doesn't mean the same thing as an annual leave. It's not a vacation. It's a busy time. It's work. It's 24/7. You are here with a newborn, and that newborn is not going to follow an adult's schedule. That child is not going to understand what modern human society is like. They were just born. They are also still maturing, and that's why the first 3 months of a newborn's life, was coined by a pediatrician, an American pediatrician, as the fourth trimester, because according to him, the kind of development and the milestones that the newborn goes through in the first 3 months is as though they're still maturing outside the womb, which is probably why a lot of animals give birth and their kids can start walking a couple hours after birth, but not ours. Our babies still need a lot of care, and you throw in the infrastructure of military, that complicates things a lot more. So 12-week leave, not a holiday at all. A lot of work and a lot of frustrations as well that can happen during this time as everyone tries to find their role, find their space, to adjust to this new dynamic, to adjust to new and added responsibilities while trying to tackle paperwork. So that's an important thing to remember. So the third part, where to get more information, again, from the link as well. And of course, I always recommend to approach the Army Community Services New Parent Support Program, even Family Advocacy Program. Any person in the Army Community Services is just going to be your best source of information. I always highly recommend them because, of course, I'm biased, having been stationed in Wiesbaden. It's such a good team there that anyone who walks in gets really the help they need. But of course, and because this is a special episode for the nonprofit, any of you who are pregnant and expecting, please, the Military Birth Resource Network and Postpartum Coalition, they are your go-to peoples. I have to say I'm biased because I really love the work they do. I think they're one of the few nonprofits, related to US military that truly focuses on birth and postpartum. So I really recommend that you approach them for more information, more help, and they will always try their best to link you up with anything within their network. Now, the last part of this episode, we'll talk about how to advocate for yourself. I had the pleasure of hosting some postpartum readiness workshops at the library on Wiesbaden base, again, volunteer basis. And I did talk to a couple where the mother, the woman, was the active duty service member and her husband, the military spouse. I was able to help her advocate for herself. First things first is always equip yourself with the memo. That's the first thing I did for her. I was like, girlfriend, bring the memo. If anything, this paperwork, the regs are your best friend. And when she did that, pretty much it was quite smooth for her after that to get her 12-week leave and to ensure that, she wasn't prohibited or blocked from getting the leave. So bring the memo, talk to your leaders, keep communicating. And if you find that you're not being heard, approach leadership and see if there's someone who can advocate for you as well. If not, definitely go again back to Army Community Services and see what other advice they have, because sometimes within each base, the infrastructure could be different, how things roll could be different. And there are also military bases that have a few branches in there, like the one in Wiesbaden I was at. So just because we were US Army doesn't mean that sometimes the same structure of getting parental leave is the same with the other units from other branches that were there. So you always just got to check with your leadership and with the specific organizations that help that specific branch can be useful. So this is a quick episode. I just wanted to do this one specially again for MBRNPC. Always sounds bad when I say it really quickly, so I got to slow down when I say the acronym of the nonprofit organization. So the last thing I want to leave this episode with is for those of you who are friends, family members, SFRG members, advisors, leaders, this is a great time for you to step in and support the family. As we all understand this lifestyle, we're all parenting and raising kids away from our village, away from our family and friends. So having you to step in during this crucial time is important. And it just brings a sense of almost relief. It did for me, to have our unit come to us. It was very nice to have people come to care for us and just support us and just be with us as we adjusted to things overseas, away from anything familiar. And for parents, please allow yourself to accept the help during this time. Allow yourself to ask for help as well. Even in the middle of the night, it can get hard. It can get very isolating. And I personally have been through that, and I highly recommend not repeating that. Because that's kind of what I did, at least with my first child. So the second time around, I definitely reached out for help more often and allowed myself to accept help when offered to me. So that would be one of the biggest takeaways from this episode, at least, is during the parental leave, is ask for help and allow yourself to receive help. So that's the end of this. I thank you very much for tuning in. And last plug, I never miss out on a chance, and I never give out a chance to plug, organizations and things I believe in. Please support them, donate to them. And, any of you who want to be an ambassador, they have ambassador programs, or if you're really interested and you've got a specific skill set that you believe can really benefit the organization, talk to Amanda, talk to Gabby, amazing women. I can only have good things to say about this. Thank you for tuning in.